pretty sure this is going right now, but let's see. All right, there we go. Cool. Start streaming. All right. Yeah. So, I think I'm going. Just going to give it a couple minutes for some people to hop into the stream. All right. Sounds like I am quiet. All right. How do I sound? It's been a little bit since I've done this, so need to get in the habit of doing this more often. But in general, I have to like relearn everything every time. Hey there, Mark. What's going on? So I've got a interesting thing going on today. So it seems like the YouTube counter doesn't. My sound quality's bad. Darn. All right, let me see if I can fix that. Hold on. So I did turn that on. Let me just make sure that the lab is looking good and everything. All right. How's that? Is that any better? I guess I'm going to have to wait. I have the video volume up, my headset volume up. All right. Well, I definitely don't want to have bad audio. That's about the worst thing that you can do. So let's see if I can fiddle with this a little bit. Sorry that this is a super interesting beginning to this. Still getting used to this. I'm going to turn off the viewer count here because I don't think it's working. Wife and kids are good. They're sleeping at the moment, which is nice. All right. So Jack says that I sound fine at the moment. So I'm going to just go with the assumption that I sound okay. I am definitely talking a little quietly. I just don't want to wake everybody up. So that could be part of it. Yeah, the time delay on this thing is killer. I don't know why YouTube does it that way. Like, I get that maybe they don't want it to be, immediate because it's too much of a lag, but like 15 seconds or whatever is way too long on chatting and trying to respond. All right, so let's get into this. So basically what happened is that Crown Royal sent me some free stuff. So they saw my most recent video. I had been in communication with them, and they pretty much said, hey, we liked your video. If you want, we can provide you like, cocktail recipes or product or something, whatever. And I said, wait a minute, did they just say product? Like, does that mean free stuff? So wasn't sure if they were just going to send me, like a poster or something. But I basically wrote back and I said, if I could be as presumptuous to assume that you mean alcohol, I would really actually love to do a video on the black and the rye, which is exactly what I'm going to do tonight. So I haven't tried these yet, but I'm really looking forward to giving it a shot. So I figured that this might be a good theme for my live streams is, stuff I've never tried before, just doing kind of like a first taste via live stream. Plus, I'd like to be able to have a little bit more content for the channel, and just in general, I like doing these live streams. It's kind of fun to talk to you guys. So let's catch up a little bit. Oh, cool. Nice. Mark, which ones did you buy? I'd love to hear that. So actually, speaking of which, while we're doing this, I'm just going to pour a little bit of the regular Crown Royal, which I did actually, as you probably know, I did the review on somewhat recently. So let me just pour a little bit of this so we can kind of chat and I can drink it. All right. Let me see if I can adjust the volume just a little bit, if you guys don't mind bearing with me. It just seems like too many people are having issues with it. All right, let me see if I can bump this a bit. Hey, Malted, what's going on? Yeah, I'm a big fan of the black and white, or just all the bags that they've got. I think it's a cool thing that they've got. Let's see, recording device. Nope. Let's try something different. All right, so external microphone. Like I said, just bear with me. It's more important for you guys to actually be able to hear me properly than, to make the first 2 minutes while people are still logging in super interesting. So, thanks for bearing with me. All right, so you bought the rye. That's cool. Excuse me. As I mentioned, I'm actually not all of you would have gotten this, but I've been sick for the last couple weeks. It's part of the reason I haven't done a live stream. Let's bump the level of this mic here. All right, so I just bumped the level of the mic quite a bit. It may end up introducing some noise, so let me know if it does. All right, so I'm hoping that the sound is a little better. I'm going to give it a couple of seconds for you guys to kind of chime in and let me know. It went quiet again. It might have just needed a second, but let's see. So another thing, just while this is kind of going, check out the screen. So I've added some chat stuff. I've been playing around with OBS a little bit, which is streaming software. A bit of noise is fine as long as we can hear you. Can you hear me? Sound is much better. All right, cool. All right, I'm gonna just leave it alone now, and if people can't hear, I'll watch this later and I'll fiddle with that. The one problem is that one thing I'm learning is that as far as the live streaming goes, I've got a lot to learn. Doing the normal videos, I can fiddle with the lights and I can record and I can even get better at Premiere. And I mean, I'm sure if you go back and watch my Jack Daniels video and then my most recent video, you'll notice a dramatic increase in what I like to think is, my skill getting better at editing videos. But live stream, this is like my third one, so I'm basically still a total noob at this, and everything is live. So if I screw it up, you guys see it all. Anyway, so well, the whole concept of the purple bag being regal, which is what I said in my video, is just more, I mean, I'm sure most of you know, is just the color purple in general. It used to come from, I think it might be the indigo, or wherever they get indigo, some sort of plant. It was super hard to get, so royalty would end up wearing purple just as a sign of wealth. That being said, I'm not sure, I mean, I gotta think that the black is just because it's, the Crown Royal black. But as far as the white goes, I don't know, Northern Harvest, maybe it's supposed to be reminiscent of snow. I'm not sure, but I'm going to actually do probably 2 special videos, so there'll be extra content. It won't just be my normal 2 videos a month on both of these bottles. So, I kind of wrote back to Crown Royal and I said, hey, I'll do extra videos on these too. Thanks for sending it to me. So you guys will probably get a couple of extra videos over the next couple months. Yes, it's not Johnny Walker Red. All right. So anyway, I've talked too much. So for those of you who are drinking out there with me, tell me what you're drinking in the chat. But if you're sitting out there, raise a glass and cheers. Well, it's still good. So the regular Crown Royal is still just a surprisingly solid whiskey. I definitely went into the original review not knowing too much about it, as I mentioned. I hadn't had it since probably 10 years ago, and just didn't really know what the heck I was talking about back then. But, when you start to learn more about whiskey, you realize that basically the best stuff is stuff that people have barely ever heard of outside of, the whiskey knowledge. For example, before getting into whiskey, I didn't even know about Pappy Van Winkle. That's not a thing I think the common populace knows about. And clearly it's one of the best bourbons. So anyway, once I finish this, I'll end up pouring out the black. But what's everybody up to tonight? Is anybody doing anything good? Did anybody have a good Saturday? Oh man, Mr. Rogers, yeah. So that last one that I did, that was a rough one. Hold on. All right. So actually, it's funny. I'm reading these, and I remember the last time I had to read out everything that I was reading because you at home wouldn't be able to read the chat. But now that I've actually made the chat not suck, it's hopefully a little bit better. But basically, I was just catching up a little bit. So Yeah, Yamazaki has disappeared from the market, which is funny because I hadn't really noticed until you just mentioned that. But yeah, it's like I know that it goes in phases. It just kind of tends to roll out to the U.S., but I haven't seen it really much in a while, which is actually kind of funny because it's one of my more popular videos. So a little strange. Oh, hey, Jesse, thanks for joining. So there's I mention this pretty much every live stream, so forgive me for doing this, but there's a podcast I listen to. It's a gaming podcast called New Game Plus. So if you're a gamer, you should check it out. But some people from that channel are in the channel kind of just supporting me. So thank you guys. Cheers. Oh yes, it's the left side. So for me, it's yeah, whatever. So Mr. Rogers, you mentioned about last time I streamed, it was, I had to go to work the next day, and I remember that vividly mixing Black Velvet, bourbon, and what was the third one that I mixed? It was something else. I'm sure you guys will remind me in the chat. But I remember mixing 3 different drinks, and it was terrible. Oh, it was American Bully Boy, American straight whiskey. And man, that was rough. But yeah, no, I actually had a really tough morning the next morning. So one good thing is I have an office at my work, so I was able to close my door for the first like hour or so in the morning, and I worked, but it was nice not to have to hear other noises. So yeah, that being said, tonight's a Saturday, and I think Saturday's probably a good day to stream. Speaking of which, so this upcoming Thursday, I'm actually going to be streaming on another channel called Scotch for Dummies. So I'll end up doing something on the channel, maybe even if it's just like a 5-second little promo just saying here's where I'm going to be so that you guys can come watch, because I would love to have the support, and those guys are nice guys anyway, so you should support them as well. So, oh, you're running oh, of course you're running a race, Jess. How far are you going? Fucking bookers. I love that that's a thing outside of just my circle of friends. That's great. I haven't tried the Lord Calvert yet. I actually saw it the other day, and I thought of you, and I almost bought it, but I've got too many other bottles to buy first. HB12 is a great beginner scotch for people who want to try a bit of peach, jeez. What is Highland Park. Yeah. Yeah, I've done the Highland Park 18, which was fantastic, almost to the point where I'm nervous to try the 12, because there's no way it can live up to the 18. The 18 was just amazing. All right, so I'm almost done with just the regular Crown Royal, and I'm about ready to bust into that. I think I'm going to do the black first, because I have a bit of stuff to talk about with this guy over here. So, all right, so you're doing a 5K, and your husband's doing a 10. Nice. Well, I've seen the difference in height between you and your husband, so I'm expecting that you'll both finish about the same time. His legs are about as long as you are. So, all right, this is going to be funny watching me try to open this here. Oh, never mind. I'm cheating. Yeah, I'm totally not going to open that right next to my lav. All right, so I did get different Glencairns because I didn't want to offend anybody out there, but I heard your story about bookers, and so I bought my friend's. So I bought for my friend's birthday, and we got hammered. Now it's fucking bookers to us. That's great. Oh, John Denver, you're drinking Natty Light. Well, I guess there's no accounting for taste. All right, so Crown Royal Black. Let me just talk about this for a quick second here. And just to put a quick little disclaimer, although they sent me free booze, and obviously I'm appreciative of it, I'm at 4,000 subscribers, which just hit earlier this week, yay. But like, I'm not going to just fawn over any sort of whiskey just because somebody sent it to me for free. I just want to put that out there. You know, like, I haven't gotten corrupted enough by any sort of YouTube system to just be fake about shit. So anyway, I suspect I'm going to like these anyway, but if I didn't, I would tell you, even though they're free. So, all right, so the Crown Royal Black is 90 proof as opposed to the the 80. Wow, that is dark. Can you see that? Yeah, I think you can see that. Let me put it against my gleaming head here. So, that is ridiculous. Wow. All right. Well, it's aptly named. I'll put it that way. So I'm actually very interested to try this. Now, I've read some tasting and nosing notes, and it says that it's very, very strong as far as oak nose. So let's see. Yeah, they're not kidding. So it's pretty much all wood that you're smelling there, with a little bit of maple and maybe the general vanilla. Yeah, that's one thing that kills me. Like almost every whiskey is just like the same freaking nose and flavor profile, and then there's a little bit of extra. Um, anyway, all right, I'm gonna get into something else, but let me try this first. All right, cheers. All right, so it's a little bit rougher on the throat than the regular Crown, but that could be accounting just for the extra 10 proof. Um, you get, it's very dry. You know, if you think about almost like drinking a red wine, like a really dry red wine, um, like a Shiraz or something else. Not as good with wine. Anyway, so it's similar. It like almost sucks the moisture out of your tongue. I want to try that again though. So I'm trying to pick out some flavor notes, but it's pretty much just all wood. So it's an interesting taste for sure, and that's not to mean like bad, like most people use it. I'm more just trying to put my finger on how I would describe it. So there's right at the front, you've got just almost overpowering oak, and then a little bit later you got some maple. The vanilla doesn't really come out in the taste as much as it does in the nose, almost to the point of like I actually don't taste it. Let's see what else. Hold on. There's a little bit of cherry in there, or like kind of like how I described in my tasting video, like dark fruit, like plums or black cherries. It's I can't say that I like this one more than the regular Crown Royal. So far, I would put the regular Crown Royal ahead of this. It's definitely different though. I didn't. I'm a little unprepared here. I didn't see how much this cost. I know that between the two of these, it's about $70, but I don't remember the breakdown. So anyway, I don't know. I think I got to let this one kind of sit a little bit before I really make a decision on whether I would recommend it or not. But for those of you that have signed in a little bit later, basically I ended up getting these two bottles right here free from Crown Royal. So they wanted me to do a review on it, and I suggested that the bottles look a little nicer on camera. So anyway, I'm just kind of doing a very first impression. I've never tried either one of these before, and I'm intending on doing a special episode beyond my normal two every month on each one of these. So I might do a third or possibly 4 next month, but we'll see. It'll be at least 3, or at least 1 a month. I might do 2. So anyway, not my favorite. I would put this one behind this one for the moment, but we'll see if it grows on me. All right. All right. So let's see. Let me catch up with the chat here. Oh man, Malted Montreal. Are you really drinking Fireball and Zima? I'm hoping that you're kidding. I'm really hoping you're kidding. All right, let's see. Only person who cleans your palate with water and change your glass in between different whiskeys. I try to do that. I mean, it's not like hard, but I also don't typically do my reviews on more than one whiskey. But you can't give a decent flavor profile if all you're tasting is the previous thing that you drank. All right, let's see. Buffalo Trace White Dog Mash 1. I haven't seen that, Garrett. I'm going to have to find that because I actually really liked the Buffalo Trace that I did the video on. I'm astounded by that bourbon like every time I have it. It's like $24, I think, was the price, and it's a solid bourbon. I don't see why Crown always gets so much crap. I don't know the most complex or exciting whiskey, but it's good. Yeah, I completely agree. I think you know what I think it is? I think whiskeys that are super popular are kind of like perceived as beers that are super popular, right? So like everybody knows Bud Light, and I don't think anybody's really going to argue that Bud or Bud Light is a good beer, but it has a purpose, Same thing, I'm not even going to say Johnny Walker Red, but like Johnny Walker Black is in every bar. And actually that's a decent, blended scotch, but it's not fantastic. It's not amazing. But I almost feel like just because you've heard of Crown Royal, it gives you a bias, or at least me, a bias that it might not be as good as some other things that you've heard of. All right, so let's see. Scotch and Sherry Cask has that unique flavor and aroma. Crown is good, but a little pricey for what you get. Need a good bourbon, blah, blah, blah. All right, Canadian Club 100% Rye. Interesting. So I know Canadian Club like is not great. Actually, it's kind of on my short list of other things that I'd like to try, just more as a joke. But I haven't seen their rye. Excuse me, I haven't seen their rye. Let's see. If Diego wanted to review a product, I would say, show me the money. Well, you know, I mean, it's one thing to say, show me the money. It's another thing to only have 4,000 subscribers and say, show me the money. But I'll totally take free product. I mean, as far as I'm concerned. In fact, if anybody's watching this that has that kind of pull, get in contact with me, thewhiskeydick@gmail.com, and we'll work something out. In fact, there was a company I mentioned during our last live stream that wanted to send me sunflower whiskey, which is just kind of a cool concept. The one thing is, like, it's technically a spirit because it's 70% sunflower, and that's not technically a cereal grain, so it doesn't really qualify as whiskey, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, this guy was going to send me free booze, and I was going to totally do a thing on it. I still don't have it, so I don't really know what the deal is with that. He's told me that he tried to send it out once, and it got returned, so I don't know. Something's going on. You know what Pepsi came out with? Pepsi Fire that has cinnamon flavor to it. That's disgusting. All right, Jim Beam, everyday bro. Bud Light's purpose is to make ugly chicks look good looking at closing time. That's not probably not far from true. Crown Reserve is my favorite. Crown Reserve. Now is that the? I think I've seen that bottle. That's a Crown Royal thing, right? It's I did it last time. I'm not gonna bother doing it, but I threw a picture up the last time, but it's not worth it. I'm pretty sure I've seen that, and it looked pretty good if it's what I'm thinking. Nothing wrong with that. CarMax. Would you like to do a moonshine review? Yeah, of course. Why not? As long as it was something with a name that other people could actually find. You know, I don't want like overall Jim's moonshine. It's whatever. All right. I am very excited for this guy. So this is the rye. It comes in a white bag. As I was saying earlier, my guess is that it has more to do with snow than anything, because technically it's northern harvest. So winter is coming, I guess. I don't know, but that didn't work. So they sent me the big boy of this guy. Now the cool thing about this one is last year it won, what is it? I took notes here. World Whiskey of the Year for 2016, and then Canadian Whiskey of the Year 2017. And it actually got a few other awards as well, like something like Best Sipping Whiskey, a number of other things. So while I'm opening this, I've got an interesting question here. How many people in the stream are actually drinking something right now? Just type a comment in the thing. Tell me what you're drinking, or just say me. I don't really, you know, it's not that big of a deal what you are drinking. I just am curious how many people are drinking with me. So I'm going to give this a minute here. Man, that's a big bottle. All right, so let's see. Crown Royal Northern Harvest Rye is a unique whiskey blend crafted from 90% rye mash whiskey, so this is going to be pretty spicy. Our Canadian rye grain is planted in the fall, sprouting until it's covered with a blanket of soft winter snow. That's what the bag is, without a doubt. Once the snow melts, our rye completes its growth, maturing over the spring and summer. This distinctive growth cycle creates the perfect grain for a deliciously balanced whiskey, extraordinarily smooth with hints of fruit, cloves, and spice. All right, so let's see if it lives up to that description. But at least that gives a little bit of context for what the white bag is for. I actually like that. That's a cool idea. All right. I totally considered buying like a fake crown for this, by the way, but I decided it wasn't worth it. All right, so that's definitely. I think I'm gonna make this a thing using my head as the backdrop here, which actually is pretty red. I ended up going to an amusement park today, so it's not nearly as dark as the black. It's definitely in the middle. Actually, let's do this here. So just because of camera color correction might not work as well as I hope. This, from a real point of view, is lightest to darkest. And actually these, I'm looking at the stream over here. This is considerably lighter than this, even though it doesn't really seem it on the stream. Yeah, that's not going to show up. All right, anyway. So let's go ahead and nose this guy. So by the way, there's a lot of people drinking. That smells awesome. Wow, actually that's really, really good. So what is that, 90 proof? Because that's, yeah, it's 90 proof, all right. And you can tell when you nose that. I actually probably should check that. I'm trying to put this into words here. It's very fruity smelling, like citrus. And the rye is actually not really coming across in the nose, but what it's doing, and this is something I don't think I've experienced before. When you nose this deeply, you can feel it in the back of your throat, like, you know, just kind of going past. And that's where you pick up the spice, but you don't physically smell the spice, like if you were to smell something else that was 90% rye. So that's really weird to me. But like in a good way, it's interesting. And something you'll pick up on is I like interesting whiskeys. It doesn't matter necessarily as much if they're good. I just like something that's unique. And so you won't see me review you know, the same kind of thing over and over and over again. I like to try to do different things. So anyway. All right, so I'm kind of getting a little bit of fig in there, but mostly it's citrus. All right, I'm dying to try this thing, so cheers. There's a lot going on there. Wow. Wow, that's really good. Okay. So right out the gate, you should try to find this whiskey. This is really cool. I like this a lot. I am not going to be able to put this into words, though. Yeah, Northern Harvest is better than a Bud Light. I think the stuff I dump out of my dehumidifier is better than a Bud Light. Man, that's really good. That's actually the cold, not the whiskey. All right. So the fruit does come across. It's very light. You almost taste like wheat, which is weird. I don't think it said it had wheat in it, right? It was just rye. Yeah, it's just rye, but you definitely get like that lightness that you get in a wheat or a wheater or whatever you want to call it. I can totally see why that won some awards, and I mean, I'm not going to claim to be that kind of an expert, but it's a great whiskey. So buy this one. Probably don't buy this one, at least at first impression. All right. So has anybody else tried this whiskey before? Like, what's your opinion of it? I'm just curious. Yeah, I actually didn't realize there were so many different Crown Royals either. And this is actually just the signature line. There's another line which is their, I forget what they call it, but basically it's like a specialty kind of thing. Think of like the way that Woodford Reserve does their Master of Malts or Malt Master, whatever it is, like their once a year kind of thing. Crown Royal has another line that's kind of like specialty whiskeys. And then they have a third line, which is like the flavored stuff, which, as I think I mentioned on the last stream, like I wouldn't mind doing that, but I think I would probably do all of them in one video with a lot of water between them. So I would not actually, so somebody's saying they're not much of a rye fan. I really, like, despite this being 90% rye, it doesn't taste like a rye. So the other 90% rye I could compare, I can't compare this to, but the other 90% rye that comes to mind is like Bullet Rye, and that tastes completely different than this. And I've got like Whistle Pig Rye, which is 100% rye, and that thing tastes like you're biting into something, you know, just spicy. Like this is way lighter than it deserves to be at 90% rye. So, long time ago I had a Crown Royal Cask 81, I think it was called. Huh. Wonder if there's stuff for export we don't get here. Probably. I actually notice that a lot when I'm doing this research. There are so many things that are available to different countries, not even just the U.S. or versus not U.S., but there's so many different things that are available to different countries that nobody ever sees. And let me try to think of a good example. Like a lot of scotches actually never leave Scotland. That's a decent example. I would actually guess a lot of bourbons don't leave America either. So actually, here's an interesting question. So Australian whiskey, that's a thing, apparently. I would guess a lot of places actually have whiskey, but there's New Zealand and there's Australian whiskey. But I've never tried either one, and I have no idea where to start, but I've got a decent place near me that can get pretty much anything that I want. So I'm curious if any of you have tried any Australian or New Zealand or anywhere else unique whiskeys that you could recommend. Something that like would be reasonably available. Like I don't want to do a here's the thing. I get a lot of requests on my videos to do like micro distilleries in like Idaho, you know, and I'm over in Massachusetts. So it's like I could do that. I could reach out to the person. Chances are I could probably get a bottle one way or another, but like nobody's gonna be searching for that on YouTube. So I'm just curious if there's any Australian whiskeys that you guys could recommend that maybe I don't even realize. I'll snap a pic at the liquor store next time we go. All right. Prefer Alberta Premium. Lot 40 kills Northern Harvest. All right, so I don't know Lot 40. Yeah, Japanese whiskey's so far been very impressive to me. They have, what is it, Hibiki or, no. What is that like fairly cheap, Suntory? No, not Suntory. That's, what am I thinking? Sorry, I'm just looking like an idiot here. Help me out, Brett. What is the whiskey that it's like $20-something, maybe low 30s? That's a Japanese whiskey, and like it's super easy to get. It's always on sale. That is so good. So that's part of it. Marcel del Rosario. No, it's not Yamazaki. It's begins with an H or an S, and it might be two words, one H, one S. Yeah, I know I'm helping out a lot here. All right, I'm gonna spend like 10 more seconds on trying to figure this out. All right, so whatever. If somebody comes up with it, I'll come back to it. But anyway, so let's see. This, I want to actually, I'm going to take 2 seconds here, find out the price. Wow, that was awful. Find out the price for this guy. Hibiki, yes, that's what it is. Hibiki. Thank you. Let's see. Crown Royal Rye price. Wow, it's actually fairly cheap. All right, so this guy right here is roughly like 40 bucks. I just right now, and I will absolutely do a real episode on this. Right now, I would absolutely recommend this for $40. I think it's super interesting, and just to get any Canadian whiskey that is worth a damn or worth more than a few bucks is impressive enough. And so far, both of these guys have really impressed me. This one, like I said, I'm still making up my mind about. It's just more that it's totally different than these other two. Like this is kind of vanilla maple smooth. This is fruity, light, barely rye, which is so weird, and a little bit of bite in the throat, but mostly smooth. And then this one is just like wood and not smooth. So they're very different whiskeys, but this is almost like an extension, you know. They're made of completely different things, but it's like smooth and then just barely not smooth with a slightly different flavor profile. Anyway, so go with those two, possibly skip this guy. But try them all if you've got the money. You know, it's worth it. All right, so let's see. Eye of the Tiger. All right. Thanks for the commendation. Actually, that calorie video is freaking killing it in the analytics as far as my videos tend to go. So like, if I put out a decent video about something that's known, usually in the first day, I'll get like 500 to 600 views. In the first day of that calorie one I released yesterday, I had almost, I think it's like 1,300 or almost 1,500 views, which, I mean, that's insane for me. So, you know, I've got 4,000 subscribers right now, which I gotta imagine most of them aren't watching every video that I put out, which makes sense. I mean, the kind of people that would subscribe to a whiskey video, I have to imagine don't check YouTube every hour on the hour. Although my analytics show that most people are between 25 and 35, I think, and guys. So anyway, I could see that not all 4,000 of my people are going to watch my videos, but I think it's doing well on the search results, so whatever. Plus, I put that chick on there, that looks pretty good, so that doesn't hurt. Clickbait. Let's see. Cheap Chinese whiskey. I think it's called, I don't even know how to, Gijin. People love counting calories. Yeah, that's true. Jess is like, she's in very good shape. But she counts things I don't even realize are in food. All right, see you later, Montreal. 50 cents per gallon. Holy crap. I would almost like to get my hands on that. I actually, a while ago, I saw there was a jug of, I think it's like cooking whiskey, basically. It's something that you might make like, you know, like there's Jack Daniel's sauce at like TGI Fridays. I'm guessing that this stuff is the cheaper version of doing that kind of thing. And it was like $17 for, I want to say it was almost 5 gallons of whiskey. And I was really, really tempted to buy it just to do an episode on it. But then I was like, I don't really want to pour 4.8, you know, gallons of whiskey down the drain. So I don't know. Excuse me. So here's a question for you. You know, I kind of figured I would do this stream until about 11 o'clock. Just in general, wanted to drink some of these whiskeys and hang out with you guys. I haven't done this in a little bit. What are some... My reviews do well, but my informational videos tend to do really well. So do you guys have any ideas for things that you would like to learn about whiskey? You know, like I did the one on chill filtering because personally I didn't know what it meant. After I researched it, I did a video on it. I was curious about the calorie one, so I researched it and I did a video on it. You know, it's kind of a theme. So I've got a few other ones kind of in the works, but there's no real clickbaity items that I have left. So I'm curious if you guys want to just know anything in general about whiskey. See you later, Scotch. Okay, so Gaijin. Yeah, I mean, that makes more sense. I know Gaijin is a thing, anyway. All right. Man, I'm almost like tempted to just pour another one of these after this is done, because this is just really good. All right, so let's talk about something else while I'm kind of waiting on some answers here. I'm hoping that you guys can provide me some decent ideas of things that you'd like to learn about. But outside of that, the other day I had the whole day to myself. It was the same day I recorded the calorie one, and I mentioned like I spent like 7 days out in the yard doing yard work, and then I came inside and I filmed my calorie video, and then I decided I had plenty more time. My wife had taken the kids up to Maine, and I had like a few more hours. So I wrote an episode on Black Velvet, and then I filmed that episode in about an hour and a half. And that will be my next video that's coming out, is a full review on Black Velvet and all of its merits and lack thereof. So, yeah. Sorry, that one ended up getting me right in the throat. Yeah, so that'll be an interesting video, for sure. Scotch regions, that could be cool. Yeah, actually, come to think of it, that's not bad. There's like Speyside, Highland, and then other. So I could definitely look into that. That would be cool. So I'm, for anybody who logged in somewhat late, I'm going to be doing a live stream on Thursday with Scotch for Dummies on their channel. And they had asked me to buy a couple of different scotches, and they didn't tell me it was a secret or anything, so I'm just going to tell you. But I'm going to go out tomorrow and buy a Lafroig quarter cask, And then they asked me to pick up another Scotch that personally interested me. So I think what I'm going to do, since both of them just logged out, I don't want to spoil the surprise, is get a Oban 14, which is fantastic as well. So I just wouldn't mind having that around. I've done way too many videos on bourbons, so Scotch is kind of there to be done. So yeah, it's happening. What's up, NGP? Yeah, I do have to do the cooking with bourbon episode. That's something that I keep forgetting to do. That would be fun. Regarding pricing tiers and recommendations for beginners. So one thing, that definitive beginner guide to bourbon, I'm going to do one of those for like every type of whiskey for sure. But I would actually like to do kind of like an intermediate and then an advanced bourbon video. I think that I could really fill out those lists pretty well. Certainly the intermediate, I might have to do a little bit more research just on the advanced ones, but Booker's will probably end up in the advanced list. What do I drink on a regular basis? So I drink on a regular basis. I don't know if you guys can hear that. My daughter's crying, but my wife's taking care of it. So anyway, sorry. Just really distracting. I really kind of hope you guys can't hear that because it's not. Oh, man. All right. If you're going to do a full review of Black Velvet, I'll make you a list of self-destruction. So I would actually love to have more terrible whiskey. Yeah, research. Yeah, exactly. Oh, man. All right. So will you do Crown Royal hand selected? What is that? Is that one of their specialty ones? All right, so anyway, I'm going to do kind of like an intermediate and advanced, and I'm also totally going to do like a beginner Scotch and probably a beginner Irish whiskey. I'm going to have to do a lot more research before I could personally write a beginner Japanese whiskey, just because I don't really know a whole lot about Japanese whiskey yet. And then, a beginner Canadian whiskey would not be a bad idea. And I wouldn't mind doing a beginner rye. Like I've kind of got a decent amount of these things that I could do. And actually, so this blew my mind the other day. So I logged into Chrome, right, incognito, and I went to YouTube and I searched for the word bourbon. And fuck yeah, my video, #1. So I was like over the moon when I saw that. It's just awesome. If you guys go look right now, you'll probably see it, unless your search results kind of skew it. But man, can you even imagine? Like that just made my whole day. It's insane to think that something as generic as bourbon is showing my video. I'm over the moon with that. It's so good. All right. So let's see. What do we got? So whenever you log in NGP, I never know if you're Dustin or Nolan. I think you're Nolan, right? You'll have to correct me on that, but I appreciate you making fun of my research. Sorry, I never got back to you, John. So what I drink on a regular basis is not going to be super interesting because, frankly, I drink whatever I'm doing my next video on. I really don't have a standard other than Woodford Reserve. I almost always have in the house, and then Jack Daniels I always have in the house because sometimes I just want to have a Jack and Coke. Usually the times I have a Jack and Coke are when I'm planning on kind of like getting drunk and staying up really late to play video games. But if I'm drinking whiskey to drink whiskey, it's usually going to be Woodford Reserve or whatever my next video is on. Booker's is up there too. I have a feeling I have a love-hate relationship with Booker's. So Booker's is kind of like a pain in the ass. You guys all know the whole story with them, so I won't bore you with the details, but like them increasing their price is like really crappy, right? And I've actually put off, like I started that series, the Booker's Batches, and I only did one episode in it because immediately they increased the price up to $80 for the 2017-02. And I don't want to buy that. Like, that's too much money. So, anyway. All right. Sorry, this is just entertaining. Hakushu 12-year-old. I've never heard of that. Yeah. All right. Anyway, a lot of people like Jack and Coke. That's cool. Anyway, so what was I talking about? I think I have a unique take on the live stream. You know, if you go look for live streams, 99% of them are going to be gamers doing whatever they do. I very much doubt that there's too many people drinking and, you know, getting a little buzzed on live stream just because they probably realize it doesn't make for a terribly interesting conversation. I have not gotten the Johnny Walker Blue yet. So here's the thing. So BJ's has this little like sampler pack, and there's 4 different whiskeys in it. It's like $80, and I'm totally gonna buy it. It has a black, a double black, it has black, silver, gold, and not silver, platinum, gold, and blue. And I need to go find the double black, which is not hard to find. I need to buy a double black, do an episode on it. I need to get a green, which in my memory is the best Johnny Walker. And then I have to do gold, platinum, and then blue. So for people who are wondering, one of my Patreon goals was actually, once I hit a certain amount, I was going to buy Johnny Walker Blue. And it's still totally going to happen. But it doesn't make sense, in my mind at least, to just jump immediately to Johnny Walker Blue without doing a review of all the other ones. So that's my plan. Sorry, Crown Royal Reserve for their Master Series. Okay. Supposed to contain older whiskeys, and the closest comparison might be a small batch whiskey. All right. No, I haven't tried that, Jason. My favorite mixed drink. That's an interesting idea. All right, so I'm going to give you a couple of different answers. Some of them not as manly as others. My favorite mixed drink by far is just Jack and Coke. It's if I'm at a loss and somebody, you know, ordering and I just don't want to have like another beer, I'll probably order just like a Jack and Coke. I generally like rum and Coke as well, but I am not averse to having some sort of crazy margarita, something that like I wouldn't want to order in front of any of you. For example, and had I not had all 3 of these, you probably wouldn't be hearing this story. There is a place up in Maine, in York, Maine. It's like a Mexican place, whatever. And I think it's called the Guac and Roll. And they sell a margarita called the Pom Pom Pow, which is pomegranate and then everything else is in a margarita. And I ordered that thing like a boss. I pretended like I totally wasn't embarrassed to, and I'll tell you, it was freaking good. So yeah, occasionally the whiskey dick orders girly drinks, but it's very, very rare. So let's see. About blackout. All right, so Mr. Rogers has been drinking pretty heavily. Nice. So there's the first instance of a coined phrase for what I would refer to my fans as whiskey dickers, which it's not bad. We'll see. We'll keep it open, but I like it so far. I thought about making drunk cooking channel a few years ago, but never bothered to invest in lighting. So Sean, if you ever have the interest, my lighting cost me less than $100, and I got it for the Christmas present actually. So you can get lighting for pretty cheap and work your way up after that. $34 at Total Wine. P.S. You'd be surprised how many beer, wine, spirit reviewers basically get blasted with their friends on YouTube live streams. Okay, that's actually really good to hear. Yeah, I'm way behind. My apologies. Later, Roger Fiesta. All right, so I order rum and Coke a lot if I'm out and don't know what to get. Yeah, rum and Coke, I'm a fan. What do you guys drink if you're not drinking just whiskey? I mean, once again, like cocktails, Manhattans and old fashions for sure, but my Pom Pom Pow story still holds up. If I had the picture that was taken after I ordered that, a little bit more readily available, I might throw it up on the stream, but I would also totally regret that decision. So here's a good thing. This maintains its definition, I guess you'd call it, quite a bit into drinking it. You know, I've mentioned in previous videos, especially my tasting video, that you really only get like 1 or 2 sips before you really start to lose some of that detail in the tasting notes. This is still tasting very similar to when I had the very first sip of it. So I really can't say enough good stuff about this rye. I have every appreciation for why it won the awards it does. I can totally recommend that whiskey. I think it's fantastic. Ginger beer, yeah, ginger beer is good. What is your least favorite whiskey? Johnny Walker Red. I order rum and coke a lot if I'm out and don't know what to. Yeah, all right. Food Quig gets hammered. All right, I think I need to follow up with some of these other YouTube drinkers. This could be kind of fun to just get hammered on a live stream with them. At least you don't call us viewers. Oh, at least I don't call you viewers dickheads. Oh man, I kind of like that. I kind of like that a lot. All right. That's great. Have you ever considered reviewing brandies like cognac? Yes, they're different, but I suppose it could not hurt. I haven't really wanted to do that. I have one brandy that I bought way too long ago, to the point where if brandy goes bad, it's probably bad. I just didn't really like it. Cognac, closest, I've had cognac, but what I had instead recently was actually one of those Sam Adams Utopias, which that particular Utopia was compared a lot to tasting like a cognac. And frankly, I didn't really like it, which was unfortunate because it was like a couple $100 for that particular bottle. I was gifted it, but still. Let's see. Do you prefer the Harvest or the Black? I prefer the Harvest 100 times more. I'm going to actually, after I finish this one, which I've been on way too long, I'm going to try the Black again just to see, and I'm actually going to add a little bit of water to it, see what happens with that. So somebody asked me, Jess asked me what sour mash means as far as Jack Daniel's goes. So sour mash, what they do is, so as you know, like they'll take whatever grains and they'll put them, they'll make their mash. Basically, it's like a concoction that they add water to, and it promotes the yeast growth, right? So you've got this giant vat, and if you ever see one of them, it's like bubbly, and it actually looks kind of cool. What sour mash means is that when they're done fermenting that particular mash, they will take the strain of yeast that was in that mash, and they'll start the next fermentation of a mash using that. It's the same thing as like sourdough bread. Basically what that means is that you took the yeast from the previous batch and brought it into the next one. And sour mash is the same thing. So that's what that means. Let's see, Kyle asked something. Tell us a crazy drinking story. Oh boy, all right, let me think. All right, the first one that comes to mind, and might not be that crazy because it was college and we all have dumb drinking stories from college. Let me have a drink really quick. There was this girl I was dating. This is the Black. I'm going to have another one of these. So there was this girl I was dating for a while. Her name was Danielle. Still is. And I dated her for about 5 years. And I dated her, I think, end of junior year, almost all the way through college. And senior year of college, her and I broke up. And, like an over-emotional little idiot, I went out and I bought a, what was it, like a 375 of SoCo, and brought it back to college, and went, I was supposed to be home for the whole weekend, went up to my friends who didn't expect to see me with this bottle of SoCo in my hand, and basically said, I'm going to finish this whole thing tonight, So they're like, all right, game on, So they all went and got their own stuff. And we decided to just kind of spend the whole night drinking, shooting the shit, whatever. We were big fans of Frisbee golf. I still kind of am, but haven't played in a while. And so we got absolutely like obliterated and then decided to play froth. And it was probably a poor decision, although, I tend not to get like blackout drunk even after a 375 of SoCo at that time in my life, actually even now, would be a pretty significant amount of alcohol. And so anyway, we start playing, and I remember distinctly the very first hole, I go to drive, the long putt, the long drive basically, and it goes, instead of my usual, I don't really know the measurement, but let's say like 100 yards, it goes like 25, and, and it lands in a bush, and this bush is probably about, I don't know, like rib level height, and I decide that I'm gonna get my frisbee back, so I start running at the bush, 100% prepared to jump into this bush and find my frisbee. And I actually had a moment of clarity, and my brain said, don't jump in that bush, don't be an idiot. And so I stopped. And I stopped probably about 3 feet away from the bush, and I remember feeling happy that I had made a very wise decision. The next thing I know, I blink and I'm in the bush. So there's a slight lapse of time there. And I remember like pretty much swimming through the bush, because I was making a big spectacle of the whole thing. Did get my frisbee, and we continued going, probably maybe 4 holes before all of us gave up. But I don't know, that's just one drinking story that came to mind when somebody asked. Yeah, no, frisbee golf is totally real. It's a thing. I call it frolf. A lot of people call it frolf, but most people call it disc golf or frisbee golf. And you pretty much just, we used our campus as the course, so we made up our own holes, and there were sculptures that were on the course and everything. So like, all right, picture, what is it? What's that movie? 2001: A Space Odyssey, right? At the beginning of that movie where all the monkeys are around the big obelisk. Picture that obelisk, except with like a slight hole in the top that was probably just about frisbee height. So that was one of our holes, and you got stroke off if you managed to get it through the hole. And that was kind of like the way that we did it. We didn't really have the nets with the chains and the pole or whatever. We just kind of were like, hit the statue in the face, or go through the hole in the statue, or hit the cigarette, throw whatever you call it, like the container that you throw your cigarettes away in. Anyway, so that's my drinking story. I'm sure I have a lot more. Let's see what else. Have you done anything with aging subpar whiskey in small barrel to try to improve it? I've never done one of those. I did recommend those as a potential gift during one of my least popular videos, which was the 12 gifts to give people at Christmas. Although, in hindsight, don't buy those for people. They're an interesting gimmick, but they totally don't work. Let's see. Ahoy! I should probably change my username. Made this account a while ago. Yeah, ATV Kid 0805. I wonder what your birthday is. Jeez. My man, disc golf though you're casual. He's making fun of me. I don't think I've ever been made fun of for playing disc golf, which that's kind of almost a new low. Let's see, disc golf. We had those discs in my whole high school. Keep your username, whatever. All right, so what do you think is a very overrated whiskey? Personally, I don't think Blanton's is worth the price tag. That is an interesting question and a really interesting example. Blanton's is probably, other than Elijah Craig, it's the second most corrected whiskey in that definitive bourbon guide that I put out. A lot of people seem to think that one deserved to be on the list, and I told them that I would consider that more of like an intermediate bourbon, mostly because the price is a little bit higher. I think it's like $45, but it's also it's a little bit more advanced as far as a palate. Most of the things that I chose were subtle bourbon. They're not like super high rye or whatever. They're mostly corn, as they all are, but it's like high corn count, things that are easily approachable. Whereas I don't think Blanton's is quite in that realm. Blanton's 100% gets extra credit because of the tiny little horse on the top. It's all marketing. It makes perfect sense. But that being said, I do like Blanton's. So I don't know that it's overrated, but I guess it defines, like, you could kind of split hairs on the word overrated. It's probably more popular than it should be because it's got a gimmicky thing in the little horse, but I also think it's a good bourbon. So, all right. No dead hookers seems like no dead hookers that night anyway. So, what do you think is very over? and it's big in my area. There's a few free courses. All right, people talking about disc golf. My first post is to say you're totally wrong about mini casts. They are great for cocktails. Sorry, my first comment should have been friendlier. No, don't worry about a triple cap. I really do love to be corrected on things because I don't know everything about everything, and I really don't think it takes much for a person to admit that. So if you have reasonable evidence that I'm totally wrong about something, by all means tell me. I will like 100% correct myself, probably on a live stream, but I think it's awesome that you even wanted to say that, Triple Cap. Thanks. So great for cocktails. So when you talk about mini casks, are you talking about actually like aging your own whiskey? My dream whiskey to try would be Macallan M, and in fact, it's one of my Patreon reward, not rewards. It's like what do you call it? I think it's rewards. No, it's not rewards. Goals. So I have a goal basically. If I ever hit $5,000 a month, I will buy Macallan M and do that because it's $5,000, and I will probably actually, if I even get remotely close to that, I'll almost certainly end up getting that one, but a Macallan M would just be like the end all be all. So for those of you that don't know, Macallan M is the highest selling whiskey of all time. As far as like one particular bottle of it went for, I think if I'm remembering correctly, I think it was $658,000 for this one particular bottle. Now I don't know what made that bottle in particular special, but you can find Macallan M for about $5,000. And I would love to do that. So the black is a little bit better the second time around. I actually totally forgot to add water to this, so let me do that. All right. Also, just FYI, so it hit 11 o'clock, which is about when I figured I would cancel, end this thing. I'm not going to end it quite yet. Oh boy, that was way too much water. Whatever, I'll see. It'll probably be all right. I don't really feel like ending this quite yet because I think it's fun, but I'll probably go for another like 10 minutes or so. As long as you guys are interested, frankly, I'll just keep going because it's fun. That actually doesn't make it better at all. Oddly enough, that accentuates the oak like almost way too much. Sorry, I'm reading the comments. 1 liter mini cask, great for experimenting. I don't do so well with augmenting SMS, but for Manhattan's Negronis, I don't know what that is. They really are useful. It starts tasting good once you have a buzz. Yeah, apparently. Actually, I may even point that out in the episode. So somebody asked what state I'm in. I'm in Massachusetts. So if you ever go to Julio's Liquor, especially for the whiskey tasting, you may very well run into me. And selfless plug here, I just for fun, I put up a merch store with like Whiskey Dick, across the front of a t-shirt. So if for whatever reason you want one of those, feel free. I mostly just wanted to order one for myself, so I made a store around it. I have every expectation of actually making like either punny or clever kind of t-shirt things, and those I'll promote a little bit harder. But if any of you guys actually want to buy that, it would be cool. I kept the profits pretty low on those t-shirts. It's something like, they would recommend something crazy like, all right, so like a t-shirt, right? You might figure that you'd pay like $17 or so for a t-shirt with some sort of logo on it. They wanted me to charge like $27. And I'm just like, screw that. Like, that's stupid. Nobody's going to buy that. So I think I kept it at like 17 bucks, basically. It was as low as they would let me go because I don't really care about making a profit on those. I think it would be neat to have those. And in fact, I'll actually probably make one of my Patreon goals kind of come with a t-shirt. But I got to figure all that out. I haven't really figured out the whole merch thing yet. I think it would be cool to have stuff, but whatever. So somebody told me I should have a whiskey giveaway. I don't know the legality of that. I have to imagine that anybody who would watch this channel is over 21, but I don't really know. Like, I'm not saying I won't do it, but I would almost rather give away like Glencairn glasses or something that's not literal alcohol. I just think that's safer from any sort of point of view. But I don't know. I'll look into it. I would love to do something like that when I hit like 10,000 subscribers or something like that. So you guys out there that are actually watching this right now, you're basically, I would presume to say that you're some of my biggest fans because you actually care to watch me live stream. So tell me what you think I can do to improve my channel. And in turn, I'll share with you some of the ideas that I have upcoming. But in general, I kind of want to know what you might think my channel's lacking. Like, if you think my audio sucks, if you think that my lighting sucks, if you think that my topics suck, or if you think that everything's great, but you want to see something else, like, just flat out be critical here. I want to know what you guys want to see, because you guys are my potential biggest fans. All right, cool. So people are telling me, hey, I really should do more rye. I do way too much freaking bourbon. I love bourbon, and living in America, it's one of the easiest things to get, but I should do more scotch, and I should do more Irish whiskey, and I should do more everything else too. What exactly is brandy? It's a type of whiskey like scotch or bourbon. No, it's not. Brandy is not whiskey. I think, and I'm not sure about this, I think it has something to do with it being like fermented fruit or something like that. I can't say for sure, and I might sound like an idiot even guessing that, but I know for a fact that whiskey is not brandy. Sorry, brandy is not whiskey. Same thing, I guess. All right, so big-breasted female to the show. All right, that I could potentially do. People are telling me everything sucks, but keep up the good work. So, all right. Actually, well, I'm not going to really go on the whole big-breasted thing, but basically, I have this idea, actually, and I've talked to some friends about it, and totally probably shouldn't even use this as a segue, but there's a group of people I occasionally drink with on Thursday nights. We call ourselves the Thursday Night Club, and we'll just go to, like, a restaurant, we'll drink, and we'll have food and play trivia or whatever. It's just like a fun thing. So I actually told them, you know, they all know I do this whiskey thing, and I asked them if they would be interested in being on a live stream. And so I thought it would be kind of fun to do a live stream with them. Now, part of the thing is I'll need to get better microphones because I'll need to get like wireless mics and everything so everybody's mic'd up properly, or at the very least like a boom mic, but I want the audio to sound good. So it's going to be like maybe another couple months or so, but you know, there's a mix of guys and girls. So there will be not just me, at least on that one, but I think it could be pretty fun. Bourbon's very mysterious to me, sounds fancy. Ah, Jess, I wish I could send you some bourbon. At least I know you're 21, but I could send you stuff. Honestly, I love your show. Keep doing what you're doing, and hopefully we'll meet your Patreon goals. Cool. So I haven't really been watching this OBS thing. I apologize if I've missed anybody doing a super chat or whatever, but if you have, just tell me and I'll call you out. I'm pretty sure I haven't, but whatever. I've been playing with, so OBS is this live streaming software that lets you basically add all these little widgets, like the fact that chat is right here, and this little, well, this thing I put in here, but that's using OBS. And there's supposed to be, yeah, like a live counter up here, but it wasn't working, so I got rid of it. Excuse me. Actually, let me see if that's working yet. Nope, totally not. I can turn off. Nope, there haven't been any alerts. So it's supposed to have like alerts if people subscribe, which at this point I can see from my phone that people have subscribed, so that totally didn't work either. I'm still getting used to this. More videos, but I'm content with how they are now. I would love to do more videos, and actually I really think I'm going to potentially bump it up to 3 a month. I think I can manage that. So here's my current thought is I love doing a new brand on my first video of the month. Sorry, give me a sec. So I love doing a new brand as my first video. And then I love doing an informational one because the informational ones tend to drive a lot of traffic to the channel. But then what I think I'll do for like a third video every month is another offering from a brand I've already dealt with, because it reduces the recording time significantly. You know, if I were to do a video on this, for example, it'd probably take me less than an hour to record it, and then maybe another hour or so to edit it, versus when I did this one, I mean, between the research and everything, it was probably looking like 5 hours, maybe even more. And certainly some of them have taken me more. Actually, this one in particular, I remember taking way longer than I ever wanted it to, because I scoured the internet for like a flyover of, I forget the name of the lake that Crown Royal uses, Manitoba. So I think I was looking for a drone flyover of Manitoba. Nobody had one, but I spent like an hour just scouring YouTube for it, and still never found it. So I mean, like, things can totally take more time, but I really actually think I could do 3 videos every month without too much extra work. Just have to do it. So let's see. More live streams would be definitely more fun. All right, that's actually really good advice. I would like to do more live streams, actually. So that's another way to round out the stuff. Like, ideally, I would love to do four videos a month, basically one a week, and then, you know, for those few months that have 5 weeks, just kind of do whatever. But I don't know, live stream would be a really good way to fill that in. This sounds like it would get expensive. It would get expensive. So one thing that's nice, like, without getting too much into details, is between Patreon and YouTube, I can typically afford, like, maybe over the last couple months, been able to afford the whiskey that I'm reviewing, and that has made it just so much better. You know, like, I still technically owe myself a decent amount of money for the startup costs and whatnot, but I didn't do this to make money. I did this because it's fun, and because I just, you know, wanted an excuse to drink on camera, I suppose. But it's fun, you know, and I like teaching people. I like, if you saw me at my actual job, like, I'm a manager, and I'm not like manager in a negative way. At least I like to think not. Like, I really try to bring people up. And so in this case, I find it that I have a personal interest in something that I can teach people about. So that's what I do. And that's why I make these videos. And when it becomes uninteresting to me, which I don't see happening really, I'll probably stop the channel. That being said, I'll probably let you guys know that long ahead of time. And I don't see myself stopping the channel anytime soon. I actually really enjoy it. Like, so do I have my wallet on me? Ah, damn. I have business cards that, actually, you know what? Hold on one sec. I want to get these things because they're hilarious. They have this like super long wire here. I'm going to try not to knock everything over, but hold that thought for 1 second here. Crap, there's a knot. All right, hold on. All right. Microphone problems. So I have a business card that I will occasionally put places. There we go. And I give that to people every now and then. I'm just like, hey, look who I am. And on the back, it's got a QR code that you can scan, and it takes you right to my Whiskey Dick playlist. And like the full whiskey dictionary, basically. And I love being able to hand people that and be like, yeah, you know, this is what I do. I'm like a YouTube guy. But I always thought it was kind of fun. Have I considered reviewing Crown Royal Apple? I totally have, and in fact probably should. You know, the fact that they gave me free stuff is nice enough, and, you know, I'll totally get a couple of videos out of it. But frankly, like, I was surprised by everything I've had from Crown Royal so far, and maybe the flavored ones aren't so bad. The only reason I hesitate to do flavored whiskey is because my understanding of the legality of it is that once you add flavoring to whiskey in that particular way, it's not technically whiskey, or at least from a what's the word? Like I can't think of the word. Not perfectionist, not realist, but like somebody who believes in like the heart of something, like purist. It's not, from a purist point of view, it is not whiskey. And so that's the only reason I really hesitate to do a flavored whiskey review. That being said, I can't picture any situation where I would ever review Fireball whiskey. Because that stuff is below Johnny Walker Red in my mind. So John, I like your honesty. All right, America doesn't allow any colorings or flavorings to be added. Scotland and I think Ireland are allowed to do this. I actually don't think that's true. I know Canada is allowed to. Ireland or Scotland have more strict rules. I don't remember which one. Scotland might be able to add more, add flavorings or whatever, or coloring, but most of them don't because it comes out and then they kind of discredit themselves. 100% Canada can though, and most of them still don't. That being said, I would totally take your word for it because you're able to Google stuff and I'm not. All right, so I think we're gonna wind down here. Once this drink is done, I'll log off. But I'm having fun, so why not? Any other questions? I'm just curious. This is getting fun. That being said, let me see if I have a question for you guys. What is the worst whiskey that you've ever tried? Because I may be kind of like a masochist, but I love trying terrible whiskeys, and I would love to do more reviews of them on here. You know, I'm still not sold on this black. It definitely got better as I drank more, but I don't know. I don't think I would personally not buy this again. That being said, boy, I say that phrase a lot. Look for my review on this because I might change my mind once I get a chance to kind of just sit down and taste it and really try to pick out some notes. At this point, everything's just tasting kind of like getting more drunk. Seagram's, yeah. Seagram, I loved Scotch, of course, John Denver. I'm the friggin' whiskey dick. I love every whiskey. But Seagram's is rough. Seagram's was one of the first whiskeys I really bought myself. I used to make Seagram's in 7, so 7 and 7. And it was fine, but it wasn't good. I went to a wedding maybe a year ago, and they didn't have a very good liquor offering, unfortunately. And Seagram's was the best that they had, so I ended up drinking that. It wasn't good, so. Marks and Spencer store brand whiskey. That just sounds terrible. 151, that's rum, isn't it? Bacardi 151. That's from John Denver here. Suppose it doesn't help that I skipped dinner, huh? Not sure why, but your Four Roses yellow label turned my stomach inside out. So, Nick, I couldn't apologize more. I really wish that I could go back and like re-upload that video because I would take the Four Roses yellow label off, and it's the only one that I think I would take off that list and probably replace it with Larceny. I think I did everybody a disservice by that. I actually put it in the comments, but I mean, I could see not reading those. That being said, please don't let the yellow label turn you off of Four Roses because the single barrel and the barrel strength are just awesome. In fact, I got a Four Roses, which one is it? I think it was single barrel from my wife for our 4th anniversary, actually. So here's a cool thing. So you know how there's like themes to anniversary, right? So like first year is paper, second year is whatever. So 4th year is supposed to be fruit or flowers. At least that's the traditional one. And so she got me 2 different whiskeys. She actually got me, it's like an apple cider whiskey, which don't tell her, but it's not very good. But, you know, whatever, apple, so fruit. And then she got me Four Roses whiskey, which I just thought that was really cool. And I asked her, I was like, did you give any thought to the fact that it's our 4th anniversary and it was 4 roses? And she's like, no, I didn't even think about that, but let's pretend I did. So I thought it was pretty awesome. Can't stand SoCo. Yeah, Southern Comfort's probably one I should review. I used to order 151 and Coke at the bar because I was cheap ass. Can't even smell it now. To be honest, either Jack Daniels or Jim Beam, but my taste buds are more developed with alcohol now, so it might be different next time. Larceny has an odd aftertaste for me. Yeah, I mean, I don't currently have a bottle of Larceny, so I can't really just like have it right now and do kind of a quick little review of it, but I remember it being pretty good. Certainly wish that I could go back and change that. Let's see, what else? Oh, wow, there's 19 people on here. That's great. And all of you seem pretty active in the chat, so thank you. I actually never really say that. So thank you guys for hopping on the live stream. It's actually really fun for me, and I appreciate you guys, all or girls, all being active in the comments. I definitely recognize a lot of your names from being people who comment on my videos, and at the very least, that makes me show up more. So I really appreciate the support. Rebel Yell 10. Oh, good. I was gonna say, I thought you were pointing out Rebel Yell 10 as being bad, and I was gonna argue that point. Your favorite bourbon? I mean, right off the top of my head, Woodford Reserve, but let me think about it a little bit more. Woodford Reserve is just the one I buy all the time, and I feel like at this point, whenever anybody asks me what my favorite whiskey is, that's what I answer. And it's still true, but I'm going to give you my top 3 bourbons. So anything Booker's. So far, I have yet to actually try a Booker's batch that was bad. Although their 2017-01 wasn't great. That was it Toogies batch? I think it was Toogies batch. Anyway, so Booker's Woodford Reserve is fantastic. And then, what would be my top 3rd? The Four Roses is really good, but it's not as interesting as some. You know what? I'm going to change Woodford Reserve to Woodford Reserve Double Oak instead, because that one's just amazing. And then I'm going to pick... I'm mentally like scanning the aisles. I think I'm almost going to go Buffalo Trace. And the reason I'm going to go with that, as I mentioned earlier, is it's fairly cheap. It's something that even when I talk to people who are really, really into bourbons, they almost all seem to own a bottle all the time. And they've told me that it's for when people want to try bourbon for the first time. But like it's like a bourbon that I couldn't imagine the world being without. So I'm going to say those are my top 3 bourbons. Eagle Rare 10, that's definitely up there. Isn't that the worst, Nicholas? So Nicholas is saying that he doesn't really want to drink because he drank too much last night. It always seems like there's a good reason to drink the day that you have a hangover. But, you know, it's a little tough to get that ball rolling sometimes. Stag Junior, that's good. So here's a question. What's your favorite scotches? Let's say beginner scotches. And I'm going to go back and I'm going to read these comments as something for my list to check out. I'm thinking, as far as my beginner scotches, I see like Glenlivet 12 being on there and Highland Park 12 as well. Let's see, what else are good scotches to start off with? Monkey Shoulder's a little bit more advanced, I think. It's also like it's not super special. It's a little harder to find too. Tin Cup American Whiskey is good. You know, I got turned off of that one when I first saw it because it seemed kind of gimmicky. But I think if you were in the previous live stream, somebody mentioned that anyway in the previous live stream. Oh, Glenlivet 12, duh. Wow, brain fart there. Yeah, Glenlivet 12 is going to make the list. That's going to be right up there for sure. Glenmorangie, yeah. You should put a list and then let your viewers rate them. Wisdom of the crowd. I don't really have a good way to do that. But so I have a Discord channel, which there isn't really a lot of people in. It's I don't know. Look in the description; it's in there. But feel free to join it. Discord is like a really light kind of chat system. You can have it on your phone or your computer or both, whatever. And you know, I talk in there a lot whenever there's people talking in there, which isn't super common, but I usually put things in there ahead of time. You know, like I told people about this earlier tonight. Glenlivet 18 is way better than 12, without a doubt. All right, so I almost don't want to finish this one. I guess that's saying a lot for the black. Yeah, I don't know. Crown Royal, good stuff though. Dalwhinnie 15, huh? Yeah, 12 is definitely better for your wallet, without a doubt. Somebody asked if Glenlivet 18 is better than 12. I said yes, but the 12 is definitely better. The 12 is actually really cheap, surprisingly so. I'm trying to think of what scotches I actually have in my cabinet. Now, part of the problem comes with avoiding blended scotches, because most of the scotches I currently have are blends. And although that's a thing, like I might even make that another video. I just see like kind of almost, not infinite, but I see a lot of beginner guides to X kind of whiskey, and I would like to break up scotch with blended scotch. All right, let's see, what else? I don't know. I actually don't really have much else to go. I'm going out to brunch tomorrow, so that'll be nice, and hopefully we'll take care of whatever damage I'm doing to my head right now. I'm definitely going to chug some water once I'm done. I'm like so dehydrated. I went to an amusement park earlier today with my kids and my wife, and it was, I think at one point it hit 96 today, so it was brutal. There was very little shade because we were there from like 12 to 5:30, I think, and almost the entire time there was no shade. So pretty rough. Crown Royal Reserve. All right, I think you've mentioned it a couple times, or a couple people have mentioned it. I think I'll have to pick some of that up. Glenlivet 12 or Highland Park 12. So here's the problem. I haven't had Highland Park 12 in a long time. I've tried it, like barely. I think I've picked it up at a bar or something, and I can't say what the state of my mentality or taste buds was at the time. Basically, what I'm saying is I don't remember what Highland Park 12 tastes like. I remember what the 18 tastes like because it was amazing. But I can't say whether Glenlivet 12 or Highland Park 12 is better. Thanks, Frank. I actually really appreciate that. He says I'm more relatable than some of the other whiskey reviewers. Macallan 12, good starter. Yeah, Macallan. Oh man, I had the Macallan 18 too. That was fantastic. That was actually one of the first. No, it was the first kind of like really expensive whiskey that I had. In fact, if you've ever watched the "How long does your whiskey age" video, that's the whiskey that I'm talking about, having let age way too long because I never wanted to finish it. So I'm going to be buying Oban 14 tomorrow, actually. That in Laphroaig quarter cask. So for my live stream I'm doing on Thursday with Scotch for Dummies. So I'll put something up on the channel, that way you guys can find the link. Well, sad time. That whiskey's all gone. And I don't think I have another one in me. I, like I said, have kids, and for whatever reason they've decided to wake up at, 5:30 lately. So really don't want to have to deal with a hangover tomorrow. So I appreciate you all joining me tonight. It's actually been really, really fun. I think we're going on about an hour and a half, where I plan on doing about an hour long episode. I have a really tough time finishing off these live streams because it's actually really fun. I definitely want to plan on doing these a little bit more. I can't promise it's going to be super soon because super soon, God, I can't promise it's going to be soon. My wife is a teacher, and school starts in September, so that's going to be a little tough. I might be a little busy next month, but anyway, I will make a solid attempt to do a little bit more of these. It really came down to, I was actually going to do one, I think it was last week, but I was still sick, and you could still probably hear it. Like, this is half alcohol and half still being sick, the sound in my voice here. Anyway, so I would love to do more of these live streams. It's really fun hanging out with you guys and just kind of drinking. So I will try to do more. And thank you all for joining me here on the Whiskey Dictionary, and I hope you have a good rest of your night. Bye. Just pretend like I'm not stopping the recording.